Today's episode has been brought to you by Loot Crate, the subscription box for the gamer, geek, and or nerd in all of us. For less than $20 a month, you get 6 to 8 items of gamer and pop culture licensed gear, apparel, collectibles, unique one-of-a-kind items, and more. Make sure you head over to lootcrate.com/kindafunny and enter the code kindafunny to save $3 on any new subscription. Remember, you only have until the 19th at 9 p.m. Pacific to subscribe and receive that month's crate, and when that cutoff happens, man, that's it. It's over. So go to lootcrate.com/kindafunny and enter the code kindafunny to save $3 on your new subscription today. It's a circus of values. Tim.
Yeah.
What's your topic?
My topic, Greg. Earlier today at lunch, we were talking, we were eating, we were doing all this stuff.
We do all those things at lunch.
We do those things at lunch, yes. And you brought up this Joker fan theory.
Right.
Going on about the Suicide Squad movie and...
About the DC universe as a whole.
Yes. Mm-hmm. And how the Joker fits into it and who he might be.
Okay.
And all this stuff. It sounded really interesting, and I don't know anything about it.
Okay.
Because I was working during lunch, because it's also something I do.
You're using the word working liberally.
Yeah.
You're working liberally.
I want you to explain this to me.
All right, so ladies and gentlemen, if you didn't know, I'm a big DC Comics fan. This is the third week in a row where we've had a DC Comics movie topic, which makes me incredibly happy with my life. But what happened is last week on Reddit, a user posted a theory about who Joker was in the cinematic universe, and people tweeted at me a whole bunch about it. Have you read this? Have you read this? And I was like, it sounds interesting. I read it. I'm like, it's interesting. I like it, but whatever. And then Angry Joe did a video about it today. Shout out to Angry Joe. Go watch it, where he went through and showed his friend about it. And when I saw it like that, I'm like, well, I should present it to my friends too. You guys, of course. And of course, the best friends watching. So
we are the best friends you've ever had. Hey, Greg, I'm your friend. So is Colin and Tim and Kevin.
Well, don't throw Kevin in there. No, we don't need to include Kevin.
We're being nice to each other. We talked about that.
We're being nice to each other. We never said anything about Kevin. If this was a cigarette, I'd take a drug and I'd go, flick it at him like that. Right in his crotch. It would burn his crotch.
To the dick.
Oh, my God. All right. So where we're starting here, and I'm going to eventually move into one spoiler for Batman Arkham Knight. One spoiler for Batman Arkham Knight. And it's not going to be read in here, but I will get to it soon. We will do the whole head pat thing, where I turn it on, give you my Arkham Knight spoiler, and then head tap it off. Nope, now you're confusing them. Maybe they just turned it off. They don't even know what that means. So this one comes from fan theories over on Reddit. Jason-G169. All right. 69. Oh, Jesus God. Let me preface this by saying this theory has been around for a while, and I just want to go a bit more in depth. Also, I love the Joker's look, so this theory is not some excuse because I dislike the design. The Joker we're going to see in Suicide Squad is Jason Todd. Everybody familiar with Jason Todd?
Yes.
You?
Yeah. Rick Todd's brother.
Second Robin.
Sweeney Todd's brother.
Second Robin. He took over after Dick Grayson. In traditional canon, killed by the Joker.
Right.
Beaten with a crowbar.
When was he the
Demon
Demon Barber of Fleet Street?
I hate you.
I'm making Broadway jokes now.
No, I know.
really
It's
are.
good.
Johnny,
Johnny,
what's sad is I get them all.
Johnny Depp jokes. Beaten with a death by the Joker in Death in the Family. Then he came back and he was Red Hood, running around doing that thing and stuff. I know what you're thinking. That's kind of lame. The Joker is the Joker, not Jason. My theory consists of, number one, the newspaper with the "You Let Your Family Die." We saw this in the Batman v Superman trailer, right? Where we looked at it and said, "Oh, well, it's somebody writing in because the Wayne building got destroyed in Metropolis and those people die." Of course, it would make sense if Jason's doing that, calling out the fact that number one, he's a failing, and then that beyond that.
And it looked like it was the Joker writing, right? It looked like that scrawled out, messed up, scratched out Joker writing.
The next piece of evidence: the Robin suit in the memorial inside the Batcave. Another part of the Batman v Superman trailer, that Robin suit that says "Ha ha ha, joke's on you," and then. This Joker looks very odd and completely different from what we're used to. It is probably just a design choice, but it could be because Jason is the Joker and does things his way. This theory now goes into a whole bunch of in-depth, but we'll just go around because you don't need to do it, right? Jump around a bit. What I like about the theory is there's a whole bunch of interesting things in it. The Robin suit inside the Memorial Batcave, haha, joke's on you, Batman. What's interesting about it is that looks like it would be fresh, right? Like, why would Batman always has the suit up for Jason Todd in the glass case. That, all right, this is, we're going to honor Jason's memory, this Robin who passed away or whatever, beaten to death. This would imply that I don't think he would keep it up if it was defaced from the get-go. So is it defaced in this movie? Is it defaced in the timeline we're dealing with, right? And if so, how would the Joker know how to get in there? Would Joker then know that Batman's Bruce Wayne?
Is it, not that I know anything about it, is it possible that it's a reminder of his hatred of, or like how he's dead? That's the target, and so that's always been the condition of the suit.
It's very possible that that's the case. It just seems out of character from what we've ever seen before. It does seem like a disrespecting Jason more than disrespecting Batman, but it could be a motivational factor. I agree with that one. That's how I wrote it off in my head, that it was there to keep him motivated.
Yeah, I don't think that's too crazy to assume. I would think I wouldn't imagine that was a fresh thing that just happened.
Sure. Next, the "you let your family die" thing in the newspaper. That makes sense to an extent. Because why? Because very few people outside of us refer to their coworkers as family, right? I don't think that's a normal thing. And so unless there's
Dominic Toretto does.
It's true. Yeah. There's been theories, of course, that the girl Bruce is running up to in the trailer is actually his daughter. Maybe then his wife dies in the building. You know what I mean? There's been theories that maybe the paper with the scrawl on it is just some deranged family member blaming him for the death. But why would you blame he opened a Wayne Enterprises building in Metropolis, so now he's liable for everyone getting crushed by a bunch of superpowered heat vision dudes? That doesn't make much sense. Jason using it against him would make sense, especially with the same kind of scrawly handwriting, right?
This is interesting because without knowing this theory, at least those two things you said, I didn't think of it the other way.
Yeah.
I thought of it this way.
Right.
Like from the get-go.
Right.
I didn't think of it being the family dying in the building. I thought of it as some Joker shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So how would Joker know that Bruce is Batman? Or is Joker just writing to Bruce Wayne and saying, "You let your family die"? See what I mean? Like, what's his motivation there? Like, that's the thing, is like, I can make a million assumptions and reasons for all these things and like, but I don't have the motivation for them.
Well, maybe the Joker knows, but he's the Joker,
Yeah.
so he's not going to tell anybody. There's been storylines like that, like even the current Batman run,
Sure.
where like he knows it's Bruce Wayne, but he's not telling people because that's not what it's about.
Yeah, exactly.
I have I have a question.
Lay it on me.
If Robin's suit with Joker's text is in the capsule that's in the Batcave, presumably,
Yeah.
Wouldn't if the suggestion is that that's fresh, then Joker somehow broke in to do that,
Right.
Then wouldn't he know that Bruce Wayne was Batman?
Yes, that's what we're talking about.
No, I know. So like, but I guess I'm just not understanding necessarily why. Wouldn't he just blow that up?
He's the Joker.
Yeah.
Like that's not the point.
I guess that's what I'm.
I mean, that's the thing, is like,
that would be like that would be a big, that would be a massive secret.
I feel like on this we're getting one of the reasons why I don't think that this stuff's a reality is because this is too hard to tell in a story that's really about Batman versus Superman and Lex Luthor.
But here's the thing I think we're all overlooking in a lot of ways, and I think I overlook too, and that the theories it makes very, very interesting, is the fact that, this is a lot to tell and to drop into Batman v Superman, What if the Joker is not established? What if, because here, let me
So you see,
let me go in.
He's new.
Here's the way the theory is built on, right? That if Joker is Jason Todd, right? And this is where I'm going to pat my head and give you the Arkham Knight spoiler here. So stick out of it for a second, all right?
I'm gonna rub my tummy. For no
Arkham Knight,
reason.
of course, does this thing. You've beaten it now, right?
No, I'm not to the end, but I know what happens. So you can.
Okay, cool. And so you've beaten it. You know what I'm talking. Where I'm going with this.
I do.
They have the whole great flashback scenes of Joker torturing Jason Todd and making him crazy and making him fall in line and think like the Joker.
Reprogramming him.
Exactly.
So to speak.
Reprogramming him to be this, killing machine out to stop Batman to do all these different things. What's awesome is at one point, he brands Jason Todd, puts a J underneath his tier, which Leto's character has. Leto's Joker has a little branding J on his face, which now as fucked up as the rest of the shit is on him, whatever, no big deal, right? But like the theory goes into the interesting points of like the branding's interesting, obviously. His teeth are all fucked up, right? And we think it's just because he wants to have grills or whatever. What if he got his teeth fucking beat the shit out of him with a crowbar? Then put his on there. The damage shit, all the stuff written on him is this young kid re-released into the wild, totally out of his mind. Now the story, I'm gonna unpat my head now, okay? So let's not talk about the Batman Arkham Knight stuff anymore.
Okay.
I'm unpatting my head now. We're done with the Arkham Knight spoiler there. The theory that goes into this, right, is the fact that in this world, Batman v Superman, let's say Batman beat Joker already. He didn't kill him, obviously, but his story wrapped up and he knows he's dead. Joker's dead. We saw the body. I know how this is. Da-da-da-da-da. And then he gets the paper and opens it up and your family's dead and that Joker scrawl and he's like, what the fuck? You know what I mean? Because it looks like Joker's handwriting, right? I think they could easily be reintroducing here Joker. And he's like, I know Joker's gone. What are you fucking talking about? And then he sees him and knows it's Jason Todd, that this is something that happened, that this is how it's spiraled out.
From just a sheer storytelling perspective, it's kind of, that would be an interesting and almost brilliant move, because then you would essentially be taking away the biggest chance for criticism that movie's going to have, which is the Joker wasn't as good as Heath Ledger.
Right.
But if it's a different Joker, if it's literally a different character altogether playing the quote-unquote Joker, like similar to Beyond, right, where they had the Joker was in Batman Beyond, but it wasn't the Joker, it was like a new gang of Jokers, right?
Right.
So what's that?
Nothing.
Am I wrong?
No, you're right.
I haven't watched Batman Beyond too much, but I know they had a younger Joker that they were like, hey, we want to be the Joker, we're taking up the mantle of the Joker. So in this case, it would be actually pretty fascinating to watch that, because then people really, the argument of like he's not as good as Heath Ledger's Joker would kind of go away, because you're saying essentially it's not the same character, it's someone playing the Joker or someone playing a character playing the Joker, if that makes sense.
But I have a question about this.
Sure.
And we have to talk about Arkham Knight again. So
Okay.
I'm going to tap my head. My fluffy hair I have to cut.
It's getting little spikes on the sides.
I don't care.
I like it.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, it is what it is. If that was true, specifically the branding, then that means Arkham Knight is canon.
I'm not saying it's the exact same thing.
But I'm saying, is it possible that art like that it's the well is so deep that these games, specifically Arkham Knight and the Arkham Knight himself as a character, which they just made up, is then the Joker in this, and so that's canon. That's almost a necessary prerequisite for understanding this movie, right? Like that theory would suggest that if these characters are the same,
no, because they've already. Are we still in spoiler line? I can't remember.
Yeah, we have already tapped our head.
No, because I mean that was one of the issues I had with the game, was that it was actually, I liked it better when he was Red Hood. I liked that storyline better. Like, it was basically the exact same story, but they just, instead of like making him Red Hood, they made him Arkham Knight, which is
but I don't know.
Absurd. You're like, well, okay, and you saw it coming from the second you saw him in that chair. That very first flashback, you're like,
well, you heard
come
he was
on,
both
dude,
Troy.
really?
But I guess I don't understand the relevance of the branding then in Arkham Knight if they're not connected.
Well, because
it's
just like a nod. It's not so much like it's in the literal same continuity, but it's more just like, oh, I'm going to take that aspect. Like in the same way that, you know, in the original storyline, Jason Todd gets beat, but he gets beaten a bunch of different ways depending on what the thing is, but it all comes from that original source point. So it's like this, it could just be like getting inspiration from it and like, you know, going from there.
Yeah.
Plus, you know,
It's just too complicated.
That is my big thing.
Do we need to
sorry.
Kevin's
Good. We're done.
heads.
We're done with the Arkham Knight part. That's the big part, is that it is really complicated, and I think but I think if you do it where Batman v Superman is 2-3 nods that are setting Bruce even more on edge of, he gets this thing, what the fuck, he comes home to the cave, and the Jason Todd statue's been defaced, you know what I mean, like his suit's got haha jokes on you Batman written on it. That's the Easter egg in that movie, not even showing Leto ever in that movie, that's setting up Suicide Squad of like, there's a new Joker in town. Meanwhile, from what we've seen, right, this Joker that apparently has enough money for his own Lamborghini and all this crazy stuff, which you assume Jason Todd had a trust fund or whatever, you know what I mean, like, it's a weird theory that my first reaction.
the Joker just steals shit whenever he wants. I'm just putting that out there.
He steals custom cars.
He does whatever he wants. He's a Joker.
I know he does whatever the fuck he wants, but what I'm saying is I mean, they're trying to ground it, make it a more grounded universe.
You would think
right?
that if you were like, wait a minute, Jason Todd's the Joker, maybe I should cancel Jason Todd's trust fund, or maybe I should have done that when he was dead.
Yeah.
And he died.
Yeah, my sticking point is still what I was saying before, even though we had established why wouldn't Joker just? It's the same. It almost reminds me of the Dark Knight Rises, where like they tried to ruin Wayne specifically.
Sure.
You know, like Wayne Enterprises, even though Bane didn't necessarily know. It was a whole weird happenstance about the bomb and stuff like that. But like to acquire the weapon, I guess. But why wouldn't they just? Why wouldn't they just ruin him? You know what I mean? Or out him.
Well, no, I mean,
because he wants to fuck with him. Because he forgot about him.
I don't know, that's just weird
You
to
left
me.
him abandoned.
That's where
you let this happen to him. You left him for dead.
That makes sense, because he was like, he couldn't save him, and because of that, he was tortured almost nearly to death, and so there's retribution to be had, which I can appreciate. I like this idea. The more and more you start explaining it to me, the more and more I'm like, I hope they go in this direction, because it would really set the series apart from the Joker movies that we've seen before.
And in addition to that, I mean, what does this lead up to? The Batman standalone movie where he would, whatever character he is, whether it's Red Hood or whatever, be in that and be the bad guy. And like, I love that. That sounds really cool.
People have called out too that like in this is something we've seen from the first image that when David Ayers put out that photo of Jared Leto. Like it looks like a wing thing on his arm, which originally people were like, oh, it's like because he's already killed Jason Todd, he put that there, and now people are thinking maybe it is a nod to him having been a Robin or whatever. I don't know.
Could explain the tattoos too, because if someone was to tattoo you, maybe they would do that as just to screw with you, right?
That's
just
a great point too. I didn't even thought about that.
Body,
yeah,
like
yeah,
tattooing
yeah.
your
That's
face
not
and all
even.
that
Yeah,
shit.
it's not even a thing that he's doing. It's something the Joker did while torturing him, just like the J.
Be interesting.
Yeah, but I agree. Like that, my first reaction to it was funny fan theory, sure. Then it was like, well, yeah, if it was, because when you hear it, you think it's all gonna have to be in the same movie, or it's all gonna be in Batman v Superman, or it's all gonna be in Suicide Squad. But if you parcel it all out and make it in a giant lead up to the Batman, Ben Affleck's Batman.
See, that makes sense. I mean, because that is what Marvel did with the Avengers movies, the MCU.
Leading up to Avengers,
it's all the little bits and pieces. Like you
bit.
hear Ant-Man mentioned, you hear all this stuff, and then when it happens, you're like, oh yeah, like it just kind of feels right.
I forget.
So
originally, when I said that, I don't think they do that because it's too hard of a story to tell in Batman v Superman. I forget we're going to see Joker mainly in Suicide Squad, right?
Yeah.
So they'll start. Yeah, I mean that's a brilliant idea of like to sort of retell his backstory throughout those movies leading up to that standalone Batman movie. Could be cool.
But is it possible that Leto's also in Batman vs Superman in some respect?
Sure.
I'd be interested. I kind of doubt he's gonna be, but like actually in it, like I'm sure.
Just these nods
and references to the Joker and all that stuff. But I don't think he'll be in it. But
I mean, that'll be a giveaway, I guess. Well, I don't know. You imagine they'd have to confirm at some point early on that how can you even trust that Batman? He killed that Joker guy or whatever, and then I don't know. All this starts happening.
He killed the Joker guy.
Again, in this theory, he would.
Got it.
I mean,
the original Joker.
Well, I mean, we have to assume that Joker. We have to assume that Batman has been out of commission for a while, right? Like they're still talking to him as the vigilante. Like he's the older Wayne. We're assuming he's kind of coming back into.
That's been very confusing when you hear and look at the stuff.
Right?
Is he out of practice? Is he still going? I'm not 100% sure.
Okay. Yeah. I mean that to me would be. That's the sticking point to me, because if he hasn't been the Batman for a while, if it really is the Dark Knight story or the Dark Knight Returns story where he's been gone from the public eye for 20 years or 15 years, then yeah, that would be a dead giveaway that this Joker's new, because presumably the other Joker's dead or has died or is gone or is something like that.
Okay.
Because there's no way the Joker stays in prison for 15 years.
I mean, I know we all kind of want it and assume it, but like, have they even hinted at all that is the story they're going with, where it's him kind of being out of it?
That's the problem.
Watching the trailer, it's like it's not clear that Batman is just starting now.
No. He's not. He's definitely not starting now. But what I'm questioning is whether or not they're doing, and this is solely because of the suit. Mm-hmm. That unbelievably awesome homage to the Dark Knight Returns, where he has to, in order to fight Superman, he has to get the big electrified suit. That was and the gray in his hair, and the fact that he's a bit older, and the fact that some of the dialogue with him and Jeremy Irons about
what turns men cruel.
Yeah. I just and that's me just maybe bringing my own stuff to it and hoping that they tell that story.
There's enough. This is the problem with the trailer, and I mean, obviously the comments will for sure correct me if I'm wrong. I just haven't seen it spelled out on any of the fronts if he stopped. There's definitely a ton of imagery in there where I could easily again make the case. I mean, he walks up, when he's gonna and drags the fucking thing off the top of the bat signal. As if it hasn't
there's
been
a
tarp
for a really long
on
time.
it, like
Yeah,
it's been out of use forever. You know what I mean? Like the spinning suit could easily be another thing of like that. When Jeremy Irons, when Jeremy Irons is, who I assume is Jeremy Irons, because it's right before he's walking up to what looks to be a ramshackle Wayne Manor. You know what I mean? Like I'm not 100% sure if he's in the cave for the first time forever. If he's in the first time forever, and then he finds, haha, Batman joke's on you, and he's maybe Joker's stolen a whole bunch of shit because he is Jason Todd.
That seems more likely to me. I was just gonna say I love that meme that's going around with that shot of him pulling off the thing off the bat signal where he's like Batman is calling Batman.
Shit's getting real when Batman's calling Batman.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
No, but that's the thing is like when you start. I don't know. I try not to fuck around with it too much because it's going to be so hard for me to be surprised by anything in this movie because I'm going to devour everything that comes out. So I try to stay away from it. But once you start falling it down, like I thought the theory sounded totally preposterous. And then when you stop and think about it from a storytelling perspective, and if there is time off and there is that, and like it could actually be that. You know what I mean?
But if it is that, let's assume for 1 second that it is that.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of cool. I would be like, that's
if it's that, it's
smart.
awesome, and it totally makes sense to what you're saying. Is like the fact that we don't have to worry about living up to Heath Ledger because this isn't trying to be Heath Ledger.
Right.
Not a
it's similar to what they did with Star Trek, where it's like, well, let's kind of reset it a little bit here. Yeah.
I just wish they focused on some different enemies, though. That's
that's what Suicide Squad's for.
But
Boomerang Man.
with all those classic
Captain
classic names.
Boomerang,
is
Rick
Lieutenant
Flag
Colonel
Jr.
Boomerang.
Rick Flag Jr.
Like where it's like I wish that like there shouldn't be a worry about Heath Ledger's Joker because they should leave that character alone. You know what I mean? Like
Sure.
at least in respect to the Batman core movies, not so much Suicide Squad. I mean he's necessary there, that's fine. But like just explore some of these other characters. You know. Like,
Well, I mean,
should really there should like what's up with the Riddler or like one of these other characters? Like just why are we going back to that well again? We just went back. We just had that well not too long ago, and it was really good. So just leave it alone.
But it's important because they're universe building here.
Right.
Like this is the starting point, and like the
But it's the
Joker is so
starting
connected
point.
to so many of these things.
They
like,
should end there,
but it's like but
not start there. Yeah, that
Yeah,
doesn't make
but
any
the
sense.
concept
You need to have this to
have the
introduce
Joker.
everyone else.
The Joker's the yin, the Batman's yang. Like if you want to really tell a true Batman story, and you're going to do that over a span of a few movies, the Joker has to be in that to some degree. Whether
Sure,
he's a
but why
side
is he
character,
in the beginning and not the end?
The
That's
thing
point
about
I'm
it,
trying
I
to
mean,
make.
I understand what you're saying too, but the point is like this would be a brand new take on the Joker, which is really fascinating. You know
be a
what I
cool
mean?
take.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I'm just saying that, like, I don't, just as a cursory kind of Batman fan who just really likes the character and stuff, like, I'm not enamored at all with this Batman Joker, like, relationship at all. Like, I'm much more enamored, like, with, like, it's cool to have the guy that, like, wants to watch the world burn kind of thing, but it's like, I want characters that, like, are crazier and you could tell, like, a different kind of story. I'm not saying they can't do that with a different kind of Joker, but if they want to ultimately go to that yin-yang kind of relationship with them, like they should end on it. They shouldn't begin on it because it's then like where is he just going to be the bad guy in fucking 3 Batman movies? Like that would be lame as hell.
But I mean,
so
remember
end with
also
him.
we've got like Justice League coming up, right? So you know who's going to be the big bad guy in that?
Dark Side, Brainiac, you
Exactly.
have to get to a giant
and, like,
thing.
And so you have to get through these sort of smaller characters. Like I can't wait for the day where they actually decide to go Brainiac. Like that's going to be really cool. And that story, even though we've seen it, will be awesome to see on the big screen, right? Brainiac comes to collect the last Kryptonian for his menagerie of, you know, aliens and decides that he's going to destroy Earth in the process.
Yeah.
It's cool. Dark Side. That's going to be awesome, right? But like those are epic characters that you have to build up to, and if you do it right, they'll be cool movies. But I think that to get to that step, the number one thing they have to do is they got to get over the stigma that is the Joker right now, because that's really going to be the point of comparison.
Sure, I respect that. I respect that in the grander DC universe, but we're talking about like a new Batman trilogy, for instance, or these standalone Affleck movies that are coming. I just don't understand where do they end then? You know, like Darkseid's not going to be in Batman.
No.
So like it's like.
But that's when you.
So you end with the Riddler, you end with Freeze or something like that. I'm just saying, like, why wouldn't you start like you work your way through a game to get to the last boss?
I don't think they don't look at it as a trilogy anymore. Like
This
the
is
Dark
ongoing.
Knight trilogy was a
Yep.
trilogy.
Yep.
This is a movie in a series that has a bunch of other.
I think to
properties
them,
in it.
there's no end.
Correct.
You know
Yeah.
what I mean? So don't paint yourself in a corner, but get out the things people want and that moviegoers want to go see and do things. Well,
Yeah,
that
like,
makes
like
sense.
people don't look at Iron Man as a trilogy.
Yeah.
You know.
I mean, like this theory's cool, right? And the only way it could be possibly cooler, right, is if they set it all up or whatever, and whether it's not gonna be Suicide Squad, obviously, because I don't even know. Suicide Squad's super interesting in this theory because I always thought Suicide Squad was the Suicide Squad going after Joker. You know what I mean? Because if it's not, I'm not 100% sure how he interacts, which is fascinating and awesome and interesting. You know what I mean? If it's setting up Batman's standalone to be him chasing down the Joker, he beats him, and then the after credit scene. What if? After credit scene, credits go, black things. So people are sitting around and talking, and then the purple suit walks in the purple hat, and he's like, and it's Joker, and he's just like, now, who's been impersonating me or something? But it's Jack Nicholson. How fucking awesome would that be?
I mean, that would be amazing. That would probably break the internet if they managed to keep that a secret. It just pops back in, and you're like, wait a minute, you fell 800 stories.
It's not the fucking 89's. It's just an old. We need an old Joker. We need old Joker.
If somehow they tied the 89 Batman into all this,
Get the Penguin back in there too.
done. I'd be like, done. It's so funny. You got to watch that. I brought it back for you.
Yeah, I'll watch it.
You got to watch that documentary because it's
Well, maybe
really
that's next.
fascinating.
I'm in Ken Burns land, but
I think you'd like this because it builds into
Oh,
a
no,
lot
he'll
of
like
those,
it.
I know
a lot
I
of
will
those
like it. I
points
think
too,
I
right?
definitely will like it.
They talk a lot about that too. They're
I like
like,
Tim
who's
Burton.
Superman gonna fight? And there's that famous like, you know, like Kevin Smith's original screenplay was about him fighting Brainiac, and that was it. It would be interesting. It's actually those are out there floating. I've often thought about
I've
going
read
out there. Have you read them?
Yeah.
I want to read them. I might start actually reading those on this next trip because it sounds
Print
it
them
just-
off and have half glasses and sit there on your thing and read.
Oh
these
no, I'm gonna
scripts. And people
bind
are like,
them. I'm
"He's
gonna
a
put the
big
2
Hollywood
little
guy."
brackets in like they do with real scripts. That
Yeah.
is the stupidest thing on the planet because the second you opened it, the brackets come out and the thing just falls apart. So I'm gonna do all that. It's gonna be really fun.
All right, good. I'm looking forward to that.
Cool.
Good.
Great.